The earth shook violently, jolting Dave awake from a deep sleep. His eyes snapped open as a deafening explosion rattled the windows of his bedroom. He sat upright in bed, his heart pounding as another thunderous boom rocked the house. What the hell was that, he muttered, throwing off the covers. He stumbled to the window and pulled back the curtains. Outside, chaos reigned. A massive robotic figure, at least 50 feet tall, strode down the residential street, blasting homes and vehicles with searing energy beams that erupted from its armed cannons. Dave watched in stunned horror as the neighbor's house across the street exploded into a fireball of shattered wood and concrete. Screams echoed all around as people fled from the nightmarish mechanical monster. Smaller, dog-sized robots scampered alongside the towering behemoth, firing rapid energy bursts that cut down fleeing civilians where they ran. Dave's blood turned to ice in his veins as the terrible realization sank in. They had been warned about this, prepared for this eventuality, but he had never truly believed it could happen. Not in his small hometown in the American Midwest. The alien invasion had arrived. An alarm started blaring outside, snapping Dave out of his stunned stupor. He sprinted out of the bedroom and down the hall, panic driving his every movement. In the living room, he skidded to a halt in front of the large front window and gasped. Outside, the terrifying robot assault was in full force. More of the gigantic mechanized warriors marched through the neighborhood, spraying wide swaths of destruction. One stood motionless at the end of the street, a hellish red glow emanating from its eyes as it slowly swiveled back and forth, almost appearing to be searching for something. Dave's front yard exploded in flames as a volley of energy beams lashed out from the hovering war machines. Shock waves shuddered through the house, shattering windows and sending him tumbling backwards. He scrambled to his feet, shards of glass digging into his palms as the air filled with acrid black smoke. He didn't have time to grab anything or search for family members. His only hope was to reach one of the secure bunkers concealed around town before the alien robots overwhelmed the military's defenses. He raced for the back door, flinging it open and jumping down to the grass. A stone path cut through his backyard, lined with small trees and shrubbery. He bounded down the path, then froze as something massive moved through the bushes on his right. One of the smaller robots emerged on mechanical insect legs, its sleek metal body low to the ground. Twin energy cannons protruding from its front opened fire instantly, blasting craters in the yard around Dave. He screamed and backpedaled, stumbling over a rock and falling hard on his back as emerald energy bolts lashed through the air all around him. The robot scuttled in for the kill, metal legs slamming into the soft earth as it closed in. Dave's breath caught in his throat, then suddenly explosions blossomed across the robot's body. It twisted and shuddered, splattering a dark viscous fluid as armor-piercing shells tore through its chrome hide. Soldiers clad in heavy-powered armor suits rushed into the yard, firing disciplined bursts from shoulder-mounted assault cannons. The robot collapsed in a sparking, liquefied heap as Dave scrambled backwards under the cover of the deadly accurate barrage. "Get to the bunker," one of the soldiers shouted at him through the armored helmet's voice amplifier. "We'll buy you time, now go." Dave didn't need to be told twice. He pushed himself to his feet and sprinted down the path towards the back gate, the sounds of explosive battle raging all around him. As he wrenched open the gate and raced into the back alley, he glimpsed another of the towering robots illuminated in the distance, stalking through the streets like some unholy metal god of conquest. A series of thunderous booms coming from overhead drew Dave's eyes up to the rooftops. Agile bipedal robots stood perched atop houses and businesses, cannons blasting a hailstorm of sizzling energy down into the alleyway. Dave flung himself to the cracked asphalt as the air filled with white-hot streaks of annihilation, rolling behind a burned-out starfighter for cover. The shrill whine of repulsor engines made him look up once more. A massive Y-shaped craft slowly glided over the rooftops, sleek gunmetal wings propelling it forward at speeds no aircraft could match. It launched a salvo of scorching energy missiles that hammered the alleyway in a percussive volley of destruction. Dave was thrown sideways by the apocalyptic barrage, crashing through a wooden fence and into the empty backyard beyond. He clasped his hands over his head and curled into a ball, certain his death was imminent. But then the air shook with a deafening barrage of heavier thuds as Centaur light artillery platforms joined the fight. Risking a peek through splayed fingers, Dave watched as streams of anti-aircraft tracer fire lashed up from armored ground batteries, converging on the alien craft in a web of blinding energy. The Y-shaped bomber shuddered under the sustained fusillade and erupted in a ball of fire, crashing through a storefront in a thunderous plume of smoke and debris. Chastened and more terrified than he'd ever been in his life, Dave picked himself up off the ground. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, to find the deepest hole and pull it in over his head until this alien nightmare was over. But a more powerful call still pulled him onward. He had to find the bunker. It was his only hope of survival against this incomprehensible enemy. He scrambled through the backyard and onto the next street, his ears ringing with the echo of thunderous artillery trading salvos with robotic juggernauts in the distance. He put his head down and ran, picking his way over rubble and spent energy cells that had cooled to a hellish crimson glow. Familiar landmarks, buildings he had passed every day of his life, burned and collapsed all around as the invasion's relentless onslaught ground his hometown to rubble. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached the battered gates of Lafayette High School. Beyond them, a camouflaged blast door stood open, guarded by a squad of armed soldiers. Bunker entrance. This way. Move, 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 one of the guards shouted, beckoning Dave and a handful of other ragged, terrorized civilians through the portal. Dave wasted no time. He rushed through the entrance, the sounds of battle growling in the distance like the snarls of a rabid beast. After descending a long concrete stairwell into the earth, he emerged into an expansive underground shelter filled with supplies, cots, and hundreds of frightened people. He found a corner between some lockers and a water tank to collapse into. Drawing his knees up against his chest, Dave buried his face, trembling as the horrific enormity of the alien invasion crashed over him in waves of numb shock and disbelief. Thanks for listening to this story. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you liked it. We'll see you in the next one.